as I listen to myself saying it, I can understand why half of America do not want to adopt electric vehicles. And I don't think it has anything to do with the vehicle itself. Unfortunately, it's the people they are associating with electric vehicles that they don't like. They don't like people like me. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having another great day today. Yeah, I just made a video the other day entitled CCS is not dead. And I went over my analysis. It's a statistical analysis based on data and research that I said I thought some of these deals were fake. Between GM, Ford, and Rivian, I guess Volvo has jumped on board now. Which makes sense for Volvo. How many electric vehicles they sell? Like 1 or 2 or something like that. But anyway, yeah, I was just looking at some of the comments, exchanging, with some of the viewers, and I just have to say that it seems like, it just seems a little strange to me that it's like there's like this thing that they really want CCS to be dead. Well, some of you really want CCS to be dead, that you don't want it to be added to the Tesla port, or you don't want it to even be added to new charging stations. That is just weird. Why would you want that? That is strange. And so I guess I would have to ask do you want them to remove all the J1772 ports also from all the destination chargers? Because that's actually going to be the majority of chargers going to be destination chargers at hotels and city centers. And actually 40% of that money is earmarked for communities that are in distress. So I don't understand. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So you want all the J1772 ports removed. There are millions of cars on the road with the J1772. I know a lot of you, especially if you're an early adopter, more like you're a Tesla owner, or maybe you are a Chevy Bolt owner, but I don't see any Chevy Bolt owners really having a lot of opposition to this because they have the J1772. So what do you say to all the car names? Like, wait a minute, Tesla sells more vehicles than anyone. They have the Tesla port. There are millions of cars on the road with J1772. Tesla, yeah, that's a fully electric vehicle. But you have millions of cars on the road that are plug-in hybrids. I had one for like 12 years. I had plug-in hybrids where the Chevy Volt, it has the J1772, hundreds of thousands of them on the road too. So in other words, you have these millions of vehicles out there. Just think about Toyotas, Hondas, Chevy Volts. Just all the different brands that sell hybrids. Volvo with the J1772, and they've been selling these hybrids for years, and which means there's millions of these things on the road. So what you're telling them is that you want someone from the government to, with this NEVI funding, to not place any J1772 charge ports or charger connectors on any of these destination chargers. Because you got to remember, this is not just about high-speed chargers. In the future, the majority of this charging is going to happen at destination chargers. And I want you to think about this. And this is another thing. This is why you got half of America that does not like electric cars. And it's not that, and if you listen to them, you go on the forums and actually listen to what they're saying. And actually, from reading my comments, and I am one of these people too, so whenever I say this, I'm including myself, that people like me do not understand the needs of people who are in the lower class or poor, who don't have the same income resources as a person like I do. Because one of the things you always hear is that if you're charging, you don't worry about it because most people are going to be charging at home anyway. Yeah, if you're rich, yes, you got to have a house to charge, but think about the people who are living in apartments. Think about the people who are living in rental homes. What about those people? They can't just install a level 2 charger in the house that's not theirs. What about all those people? How are they going to charge their vehicles up? And more likely than not, they're going to have a vehicle with a J1772 on it, not a Tesla. So, are you saying all of these people? And as I'm saying this, I happen to be driving through one of the poorest, the poorest city in Illinois, and one of the poorest, and also one of the poorest cities in America. And it reminds me of how sometimes this talk, if you step back and listen to it from the outside, it sounds very, very elitist. I'm just going to say it sounds very elitist. That you completely forget that, like Gen Z, only 30% of them own a house. So how are they going to charge? Unless they use public charging, and which goes back to Tesla again. And this whole adoption to electric vehicle thing that I kind of lost sight of myself, because I have a home that I can charge my car in. And one of the things that a lot of people overlook is how, matter of fact, just transitioning over to electric vehicle has a negative impact on the working class and the poor. And you've been like, oh, you get to drive around in electric cars and they're not spewing emissions and things like that. Think about this. I'm a home owner, and I'm sure a lot of you are also. If you have an electric vehicle, you're probably charging at home. And if you do charge at home, probably 90% of your charging is at home. And for me, up until this year, I had never gone to a public charging station. And the next time I go, unless I decide to do another road trip this year, probably won't be until next year sometimes. So my interaction with a public charging station will be very rare. And a lot of yours will also. But think about this. If you have a home, you can charge in your home. If you're living in an apartment, you probably can't charge at home, because this is probably a pretty good chance there's no charging stations in your apartment building. Or if you're renting out a house, if that homeowner hasn't installed a level 2 charger, you can't charge at home either. And so what's going to happen? You're going to have to rely on the public infrastructure to charge. And what does that mean for you? It's like, well, what's wrong with that? Well, if you can charge at home, you're going to pay a much lower rate to charge than someone who's living in an apartment, someone who is of lesser means, who can't afford a home. Like for me, I would probably end up paying about 15 cents a kilowatt hour, and that's including all the taxes. That'd be my full cost, including taxes and fees. If a person is charging at a public charging station, probably at best they're going to be paying 32 cents, probably almost more than double what I'm paying. And are you okay with that? I mean, I'm sure some of you are like, that's not my fault. They need to pull themselves up out of them bootstraps. But you pay the same price as a gas station as everyone else. It's not. In fact, if you pay cash at a gas station, you usually get a discounted rate. So I don't know. I haven't heard anyone talk about it and I don't know if I'm the first one that ever thought about it. I'm sure I'm not. I haven't, but I'm speaking on it. Is that this is kind of messed up? Is that if you're a person of means, you can charge your car for half the price, if not more than half the price, of a person who is he in the working class, a person who doesn't have a home or living in an apartment, someone who's have to rely on a public charging infrastructure. And for you to say, hey, we want them to remove all the J1772 ports, we don't want, they need to conform to Tesla, and they need to use not only should they pay more for the electric, they should also have to buy an adapter. Let them eat cake. Now, if you listen to this argument that I'm presenting to you, as I listen to myself saying it, I can understand why half of America do not want to adopt electric vehicles. And I don't think it has anything to do with the vehicle itself. Unfortunately, it's the people they are associating with electric vehicles that they don't like. They don't like people like me because we come off as elitist. Because I come off as an elitist. If I can't understand how transitioning to electric is going to have a negative impact on them financially, one that it won't have on me, is basically another wealth transference from the poor to the rich. And some of you may be okay with that. And that's up to you, how you want to feel about that. But that's just one of the things I been thinking about as I've been reading through the comments. Let me know what you think, because this has me thinking now. Is there a better solution than the one that we're pursuing now? Well, that's all I have for today, and I'd like to thank you for joining me again, and I'm going to see you on the next video.